Chi-Town Kane getting us started on the football here. So we'll go right into recruiting. Word is Miami is looking good for Pickett and Dallas Wilson, who is making an announcement tonight. Cam, how you feeling about Coach Chevis Jackson?
Chevis Jackson, I think, has already proven that he's, worth his salt in terms of recruiting. As I go over to the Miami class from 25, he was involved in recruiting Amari Wallace from Miami Central, also Drake Stubbs from Jacksonville Mandarin, former USC commit, just flipped to Miami on the 4th of July. Forgot to mention him during last week's show on the 3rd. Also, Chris Ewald, the All-American from Chaminade, Madonna, he's good. And I mean, obviously you want to continue to add talent and everything, but yeah, if you scroll down just a little bit more to the corners, they should be coming up very shortly. Yep, keep going right there. Boom. Amari Wallace and Chris Ewald, 4-star, and Chris Ewald is on the Chaminade defense is one of those guys. Obviously, he played with Zaquan Patterson, who was there last year and everything, but Chevis Jackson coming in and getting those two guys right away, I'm good with. Now, in terms of DJ Pickett, 5-star All-American, top 10 or 5 player in America, 6'4" cornerback. His father played here. His cousin is Booker Pickett, who just signed as a edge rusher in the previous class. He's friends with a lot of guys and everything that are here. This is a marquee matchup. This is not, how your college basketball team has the preseason tournament against South Carolina State upstate, or something like that. You're I'm not really gonna watch that one or whatever. And then they have the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and Miami goes to Bloomington, Indiana, and plays at iconic Assembly Hall. Hey, maybe I'm gonna okay, we're gonna be really dialed in. This is an incredible team. This is legacy and things like that. I think that this recruitment of DJ Pickett is one of those games. It is the opener in Atlanta against Alabama. It is the, annual game against, Florida State or whatever. This is one of those guys. And at the very, very top of the list, now he plays defense and not often, not wide receiver. So it's not the exact same, but it's very analogous. And he's also from up the road a little bit. But all of the other things are true. 5-star All-American, everybody wants him, has family ties as in his father, has family ties as in his cousin just signed here, has other friends that are on this roster and everything, plays with guys who have been recruited to Miami, the guys who are committed to Miami recruiting him. It's the top 3 are Miami, Oregon, and LSU. And when you're looking at who's hot in recruiting, Miami obviously has leveled up, had a top 5, top 8 class years ago, top 5 class last year. Oregon speaks for itself. They're cooking. And then LSU, when it comes to defensive backs, for long as you can remember, they've been at or near the top. So that 3-way heavyweight bout is really, really going to be key. This is another unicorn game changer recruit. I know that our staff recruits tirelessly, and we're not going to just give up without a fight. I don't feel confident, and maybe that's me bringing my own anxiety from past failures on the recruiting trail to this conversation. But I need to hear him say going to Miami. And also, even if he does pick Miami, or even if he does not, the story ain't over. Because if you remember, Cormani McClain and the loafers, the big boy steppers, committed to Miami and everything. Oh, I'm coming to Miami. Why everybody asking me? Is Cormani McClain a Miami Hurricane? Has he ever been? No. He not a day on campus. Likewise, Justin Scott, 5-star All-American, right? Defensive tackle from Chicago, announced to a school other than Miami, but in the end, enrolled in Miami. So I say that to say that regardless of what the move is with DJ Pickett, the story's not over. But I'm not even once bitten. I'm like 18 times bitten with this kind of recruit at one of these wide receiver cornerback positions, trying to go after them and missing on them. So me, myself personally, I am not very confident. But hopefully Chevis Jackson and the staff prove me wrong. And like I said, he's already done great work, and this would really elevate his recruiting in my eyes if he were to get DJ Pickett. The other one that you asked about is Dallas Wilson, a 5-star wide receiver who was committed to the University of Oregon from Tampa Bay Tech. I don't believe it at all that he's coming here. I'll believe it when I see it. And again, also, you're already committed to Oregon. Now, I know that people flip. Cam, Ray Joseph was committed to Clemson, and he wears number 5 for your Miami Hurricanes, and they never lose anybody in recruiting, which is true and true and true and true. So, yes, there are counterfactuals to what I am saying. Oregon is one of them ones right now, respectfully. And yeah, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable or confident about Dallas Wilson. I would love to be wrong. I don't feel comfortable or confident about DJ Pickett. I would love to be wrong. But that's just me. But even absent that, with what's already been seen from Chevis Jackson, I feel very good about his coaching and development. I feel very good about his recruiting. I would feel great about it if he were able to lock down DJ Pickett, and then also Kevin Beard doing yeoman's work to get Dallas Wilson. I would love both of those things.
Leroy, the Black Ninja Turtle, thank you so much for your contribution. Hey, Cam, about a month and a half ago, I asked about our recruiting ranking being at number 27. Oh my, how things have changed quickly.
And I told you they would. A couple of years ago, everybody was like, oh, it has to be by July 4th. Didn't happen by July 4th, and there was a run of commits like the 7th through the 11th of July. This year, it actually happened before and on July 4th. But yeah, again, trust the process. Let Mario and company cook. At present, Miami's class stands at number 10 in the country, still in it for a lot of big fish, and we just got another couple All-American recruits to commit in the last week in Drake Stubbs and S.J. Alofatuli. The latter, who profiles as an interior lineman, could even be the center of the future as a top 60 player in America out of Bishop Gorman. Hilton, a.k.a. Drake Stubbs from Jacksonville Mandarin, he's another guy who's an All-American, was committed to USC, decommitted from them, and is going to Miami. Now, look, these are the latest guys who just came in the boat, and we still got room for more. So yeah, when you're adding, a Susu or S.J. Alofatuli, again, who's in the 247. So they inverted it. 247's on top of the composite rankings now. It used to be the other way, I thought. Either way, on 247 rankings, the number 2 interior offensive lineman in the country, number 2 in the state of Nevada, number 56 overall. In the composite, number 3 interior offensive lineman in the country, number 3 in the state of Nevada, and number 75 overall. Yeah, that's a guy that I'm taking on my team any day of the week and twice on Saturday. So, this is when classes are built. This is when the staff is designed to make moves, because you had the visit window earlier in April. Sorry, it was May into June, and then you make those moves, and then you get those commitments going into the season. So I think that we're right on track. I told you to, be patient with the process then. I think that you were patient with the process then, and you're reaping the rewards, and we will continue to move forward now. But yeah, at that time, 27 was the current state, but we were cooking on it, working on it. The work has been done and will continue to be done, because I do think that this is going to be another top 10, borderline top 5 class.
Let's see, it would have been one day after we got together last week for Hurricanes Live. Again, everyone, that's Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And lo and behold, here we are. So make that a staple of your week. Hilton Stubbs, 6'1", 190, that you referred to as a top 100 player, 10th rated at his position, whatever position that's going to turn out to be. I don't know. Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah, he's a safety all day. I know that on the list, he's listed as an athlete, but if you go into his player profile, he's listed as safety. Like, we recruited him to play safety. He's a guy who plays safety. He's even Drake Stubbs, after he committed, said, "Hey, this is what it's going to be. Me and Zaquan Patterson, the best safety duo in America. Be mad, debate your mom who can't cook anyway." Like, he stood on business and said it with his chest. So yeah, this is a kid who, like I said, was committed to USC, has great size for the position. He plays physically, he's quick and fast. 247 on the composite, nearly top 50, number 5 safety in the country, number 8 in overall in the state of Florida. 247 has him ranked a little bit lower, 99 in the country, 10 at safety, and 17 in the state of Florida. Even with either ranking and rating or whatever evaluation, this is another guy that I'm taking on my team any day of the week and twice on Saturday. This is a guy that you fight these battles for. Now, you hopefully can go back to Jacksonville Mandarin and have Drake Stubbs do some recruiting for you and be like, "Hey, Jamie Double F French, why don't you come down the road with me to Miami instead of going to Texas," which seems to be the team in front of his recruitment right now. Jamie French, spelled with 2 Fs, which is why I said double F. Jamie French, 5-star wide receiver. Everybody in America wants this kid, right? Plays with Stubbs at Jacksonville Mandarin. I mean, look, we've seen so many teammates, commit places, whether it's the trio from Palmetto that year, whether you want to go back to the Gulliver Prep days, whether, I'm going to say it because I worked there and I saw them every day. Tracy Howard and Malcolm Lewis at Miramar. You want to go to St. Thomas Aquinas. You want to go to Chaminade with, those guys. There's a long history of like teammates going and continuing their careers together. Not saying it'll happen with Jamie Double F French, but why not go for it? You know what I mean? But yeah, this is another kid who's an All-American. I think first team All-State as a junior. I had to go look up his actual numbers and everything, but another kid that, everybody wanted. He committed to USC. A coach from in the recruiting rules, I reference a coach telling me that they only go outside of their footprint, we'll call it, for all conference players, All-Americans, and first-round picks. If you're not one of those, we're not leaving our home recruiting grounds for that. And so it just proves that when you have a school the caliber of USC, they went all the way across the country to go get a Drake Stubbs. Miami doesn't do that for just everybody. USC doesn't do that for just everybody. Georgia doesn't do that for just everybody. They do it for guys. And then that guy said, "You know what? Y'all can keep that LA stuff. I'm going to stay home and I'm going to go to Miami." That's a big get. Excuse me. Rav, Pickett is this cycle's bane. He will end up in Miami no matter what he does in the offseason. Okay. I don't necessarily agree, but I would love for you to be right and me to be wrong, and you come back in here later and say, "Hey, Cam, you remember in July when I said no matter what happens, DJ Pickett was going to end up at Miami? I told you so." I will find something delicious and I will eat that pie and I will say, "Hey, you were right," and I will give you that credit. I would love for that to be the case. Again, maybe I'm bringing in my past recruiting trauma to it, but I hope that you're right on that. But I know for a fact that Miami has been right on the recruiting trail recently. A couple of more 4-star All-Americans in the boat, going after some more big fish. And I like where we stand in terms of the overall recruiting class. Still got work to do, but we're going to keep pushing.
Hilton Stubbs in 2023, 97 tackles, 8.5 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 6 pass breakups, 2.5 sacks. He also forced 2 fumbles and recovered 3.
Yeah, that'll work. that will most decidedly work. So, yeah, man. And Jacksonville Mandarin lost in the state championship game, by the way. So everything that he did on defense, and then everything that Double F French did on offense, it wasn't just empty calories for a team that ended up years and years ago. I said that Flanagan High School was the best 5-5 team in America. They had Justin Ferguson, the wide receiver, who went to Notre Dame on that team. They had a couple other big time D1 players, but Cypress Bay was really good. Miramar was really good. They had a couple of non-conference games against like Boyd Anderson, who's a small numbers team, but always very talented, things like that. And they also played St. Thomas Aquinas. They had all this talent, but they were like the best 5-5 team in America. And you're like, how in the hell is this kid from 5-5 Flanagan, who like never did anything, right, going to like Notre Dame and Pittsburgh and like da-da-da? How? And they're not that good. I say that to say that like Jacksonville Mandarin was not even that, where these guys were cooking on an average team. They got to the state championship game where they ended up losing. Like, brother, these are guys who have done it time and time again at the Optimist level, the 7-on-7 level, and here at the high school level. These are guys you want on your team, and I'm really, really glad with where the recruiting is going.
Paolo taking us back to recruiting here. What goes into a recruiting streak like this with the school working its way back up? Is it Mario's vision, the staff, word spreading about the culture?
All of that and more. I mean, look, we have NIL. That's a part of it. Everywhere, here and elsewhere. You know, it is building relationships. It is having dogged, tireless recruiters, building those relationships, contacting those kids. It takes incredible evaluation, because there are times when you have highly rated high school players who do not pan out. And sometimes, you know, we go in different directions from guys. Famously, the worst recruiting miss I ever had at the beginning of my blogging career, was Ermon Lane from Homestead Senior High School. I thought he was him. I thought he was the #1 receiver in America. I thought his 5-star status was too low. I thought he should have been a 6 or 7 star. And I had several people come to me and say, Cam, that ain't it. Like you saw the highlights, but you missed the other things, the game film, and nah, man, you don't know what you're talking about. And we are all thinking about that iconic video of him taking 27 years to run that receiver drill at Florida State. And I was just like, and that was like one of his first practices there, literally. And a couple of the guys who I was going back and forth with, they tweeted to me and said, so, want to talk about it? And I said, I was wrong. I was wrong, right? But the staff making the choice not to go after Ermon Lane and go over other guys, that was a good choice. That was a great evaluative process. So it's all the things that you list. Mario's vision, his ability as a recruiter, everybody, I mean, he won Recruiter of the Year. He's known as one of the best recruiters in America, hiring a staff that does things in a similar way, building out the recruiting department. Steve Field, he went from, coaching tight ends back into recruiting. P.S., by the way, if you didn't know that about Steve Field, he, coached at FAMU, was in their recruiting department, also at Louisville, also at Oregon with Mario Cristobal. You go and hire another couple of guys in the recruiting department just this last week. There was a guy, Love Hilton or something, last name, who was a star. He started at defensive end for Florida State. He's a rising star in the recruiting world. Miami hires him away from Auburn. Hired a blogger, a journalist, Frank Tucker, from the Crib, South Florida, and most recently at Rivals. Hired him up off of that journalism job into the recruiting department. Hired another couple of people I saw into the recruiting department. So you build every part of the organization, of the talent acquisition portion of the organization, in a good way, and it starts to pay off. So it's multifaceted, but yeah, you have to sell some kind of success. If you look and say, hey, remember all those articles, and like, I didn't write them last year. I was going to, right? But I decided not to because like 3 other websites did them. But remember all those articles about how many snaps true freshmen were playing the last 2 years? Hey, if you're a guy to come in and help this program, we are going to play you. That's a thing that matters. Building those relationships. Again, if you've heard Jacksonville Mandarin, that's a school that Miami has recruited for years. And even if you go back to Shaq Quarterman and whatnot, he was at Jacksonville Oakleaf. So was Chance Williams and Jalen Rivers at Oakleaf in Jacksonville. Now, I know Jacksonville is a huge land state or city and everything, but do you think that they would be going to Jacksonville Oakleaf and not swing by Mandarin? You think that we're going to be recruiting Central and not go by Northwestern? You think that we're going to go to St. Thomas and not also recruit Chaminade? Like all of the, so these years long relationships pay off. So yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, I think if you were to boil it down to one thing, Mario is an incredible recruiter. He has a very clear vision for building this team, roster, and program in a specific way. Has a great group of guys and girls in the recruiting department as well, built or like dialed in of the same mind to make it happen, and finding new and different ways to connect with these players and just leverage those relationships. So that would be like the kind of Cliff's Notes version, but like, to go into like what a streak like this or what goes into it, it would be a much longer conversation because there's a lot of things that go into it. But yeah, basically, following the clear lead of Mario Cristobal in so many ways, and just finding new and dynamic interactions for everybody in that portion of the program to make moves happen.
Like to remind everyone that we've got a new X account. This is the official Voice of College Football Network X account here. So please join us there at the VOCFB, at the Voice of College Football on X/Twitter. And I don't see anything else in regards to the topics.
And I just wanted to circle back as I was having a second to think, because that like I answer these questions and iterate live. The earlier question about Chevis Jackson as recruiter. I just want to circle back and add the note again at the end that he went toe-to-toe with Georgia for Chris Ewald and won that recruitment. You know what I mean? Like, there are things to like. This is and I think this class is being built really well. I think that this roster is going in a good way. Speaking of which, EA Sports released their top 100 players rated in the game. I find it curious that like everybody in the world has been very vocal of like Cam Ward is like a top 3 or 5 quarterback in the country. He's clearly the best player on this roster, and yet he's at best the 4th highest rated player in the game on the roster. It's Damian Martinez, Ruben Bain, and Xavier Restrepo in that order, rated 91, 91, 90, or 91, 90, 90, I believe. And it's just like, well, I don't know about that. I do think that they did some vanity ratings and some popularity ratings for some players. I think that I think that they went with some name brand kind of stuff. Like, oh, this is a player who's known, so we're going to give them this super high rating. But then Donovan Edwards, who's like on the cover of the game as 92 speed only, Donovan Edwards, excuse me, and is like not even really that high. Now, I don't think he's the best player in the country, but I know that he's faster than some of these other players. It's just an interesting kind of a thing. So I'll be very interested to see and go through the entire roster. Started with Miami, obviously, when the game comes out. But I just thought it curious that like everybody's like, hey, Cam Ward this, Cam Ward that, inside the building, outside the building, da-da-da-da. And at best, the leader of the team and best player in real life on our roster is no higher than 4th in the ratings for the game. But we're going to check it out next week. I won't see it until Sunday when I'm back from my work trip. But I will. That might be a thing where I go in and manually edit rosters before I start my legacy, because there's a couple that I really disagree with. But that's a conversation for another time.